Sometimes you visit a place in Italy and you know it's special, but it takes some time to really internalise what it means to you. Today, we're revisiting a town and a hotel that is well off the beaten path that made a big impact on me personally and started me on the path to creating this podcast. Do you dream of speaking Italian but feel stuck? I hear you. Whether you want to connect with your Italian heritage, a partner, or you want to live in Italy, finding the right tools to match your learning style is important. My friend Michelle from Intrepid Italian offers a practical approach to learning Italian with her unique 80-20 method, teaching you only what you need to know. As an adult learner herself with Italian heritage, she really knows how to bridge the gap between English and Italian. As Angela from Australia said, I put my inability to learn down to my senior stage of life, but with Intrepid Italian, it seems to just fit. To find out how Intrepid Italian can help you learn Italian and to claim an exclusive $20 coupon code that you can use on any of Michelle's online courses from beginner to intermediate, visit untolditaly.com/Italian or visit the link in the show notes. As a bonus, you'll also get a downloadable travel phrase guide absolutely free. So visit untolditaly.com/Italian to accelerate your Italian. Buongiorno, friends. Here we are, rocketing towards the end of the year, and the future looks bright. Many of you have completed your Italian travels for the year and perhaps are looking forward to adventures in 2026. I know that some of you are looking forward to your first adventures in Italy next year, and that's so exciting. If you need some help with your trip planning, we are ready and waiting to help before the post-Christmas rush when spots become difficult to book. It's a great time to do trip planning if you can, and if you want everything taken care of, I think our small group trips make the most incredible gift. We've had so many lovely guests celebrating milestone birthdays, graduations and anniversaries, and I can't think of a better way to celebrate than with a trip to Italy. Can you? On this episode, we're taking a little step back in time to 2017 when I was invited to visit the Lombardy region, which is in the northern Italy. The capital is Milan, and I was invited there by the local tourist board. At that time, I was living in London, so it was a short journey down to Milan from where this trip started. And while I was thrilled to be invited and to have this experience, little did I know it would have a lasting impact. Looking back, it seems like all the pieces of the puzzle, which is now this podcast and our company, were being pulled together by this experience and the time that I spent at Palazzo Novello, a charming small hotel in Montichiari in Lombardy's Brescia province. It's close to Lake Garda, but far enough away to be off the beaten path and a place that you probably would never ordinarily hear about. At this all-female run hotel, which in itself is quite unusual in Italy, I found genuine and warm hospitality, a beautiful atmosphere and treasures around every corner. So here's to serendipity, chance encounters and the possibilities a trip to Italy can bring. I can't wait for you to meet my friends from Palazzo Novello in beautiful Montichiari. Benvenute, Kenda and Rajmonda. Welcome to the Untold Italy podcast.
Oh, ciao, grazie. We're happy to be here.
Yes, it's great to be here.
I am so thrilled to have you join us, and because it's been a good few years since I stayed at Palazzo Novello. I had such a wonderful, wonderful time, and as I was saying to you earlier, I think that experience really went on to help shape this podcast and our tour company. So grazie mille. Thank you so much. It was a really special time, and I remember it very fondly. And it was such a delight to stay at your hotel and learn more about your pocket of Italy or Lombardia. And we will talk about that with our listeners today. But before we dive in, I'd love you to share the story of the hotel and how you came to be running it and the story of, how you came to be a Palazzo Novello.
Palazzo Novello, it's a small historic hotel. It is located in Montichiari, which is a quiet town between Lake Garda and Verona. Our story began back in 2004 when my father fell in love with this building. And the original plan was quite simple: restore it and sell it. But, in Italy, It often happens that things doesn't go exactly as planned, mainly because of the bureaucracy. Palazzo Novello is protected by the Italian Heritage Authority, which means that every single part of the renovation had to be approved by the Sovrintendenza. This is the name of the authority. And these approvals can take a very, very long time. So for years, the project was completely stuck. During that time, the real estate market changed, and so selling was no longer a good option. And so as a family, we decided to turn it into an hotel instead. At first, my father wanted to find someone else to manage it. We weren't able to do it. We never did it. But nobody's ever seemed quite right. So maybe out of enthusiasm or maybe a bit of naivete, my sister and I decided to take over the management ourselves. We didn't know how to do anything here. We just practiced a little bit around, but for a very small time. So the deal with my father was simple. If it didn't work, we'd just step aside and find someone else. And that's it. And it was 2012. And now it's 2025. And I'm still here.
Brava.
So everything went in the right way. Now, my sister has since taken a different path because during the COVID years, she had 2 little girls, and I was coming also from a pregnancy, so I had my son the year before. So she chose a new direction, and I continued running the hotel on my own. And so we are here now. I have a very nice team. We are all girls, and I'm very happy with that. It wasn't easy at the very beginning without my sister, because as you know, she was really helpful and important to me. But now I reorganized everything, and I'm very happy of the people I have with me. Today, Palazzo Novello is an historic residence with 20 rooms. Guests can really feel the charm of the past in a small and intimate place. And if we want to take a look to the history of the place, the first traces of the building date back to the 1500s, while the main noble section and the grand staircase were built in the early 18th century. We'd always try to still preserve the beautiful frescoes on the dome ceiling, even though over the centuries, many architectural details were unfortunately lost or sold to maintain the main building, probably, or the families which were here. What we've tried to do is to keep the authenticity of the place, so that when guests walk through the door, we don't just stay in a hotel, but they feel the history, the quiet, the soul of the building.
Absolutely. And I'll never forget that, seeing that staircase. Oh, it's this beautiful sweeping staircase for everyone. Maybe we can put some photos up on the show notes so we can see. I have some photos of my own, but we might grab some from you too. But it's so beautiful. And above, there's frescoes above the staircase. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness. And then I went into my room and I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is just so charming. I was very happy to be there. So sorry, Kenda, continue.
Well, the rooms are all different. So there's not one room which is the same or similar to the other one. There are the suites which are really peculiar because they have the 4-poster bed.
With any room that you might get, you will get a different experience. For example, I think my favorite one is the junior suite, because when you walk in and you see the frescoes on the wall, and just knowing that they date back to so long ago, you feel like you're going back in time. And that's what makes this place very magical, because sometimes some guests ask us if they can see the rest of the rooms because they like their room so much. So they want to see what the other ones look like. And every time they're walking, they're like speechless. And it's always a good thing to see the look on people's face, because when you get used to being here every day, you might forget the luck that you have to be here. So that's a really good part of this job and something that I like.
I remember having that wow feeling. I think I remember at the top of the staircase, I turned left and I walked down, and my room was at the end on the right-hand side. And it has shutters and a window that overlooked the town and the garden. And I was just thinking, amazing. And it had the 4-poster bed. I can still remember. And I remember the group that I was with, everyone was rushing to see everyone's room and what it looked like, because, yes, they're all very different and very special.
When people stay at Palazzo Novello, they can expect something simple, I would say, but special. Our approach is simple. We try to be really friendly and easygoing in the way we run the hotel. So this is the kind of feeling we want them to have, to feel comfortable in a special place.
Yeah.
To give an example of the typical day here, in the morning, people start with the breakfast. We have fresh pastries, homemade cakes, local products, and few surprises, I would say, that change every day. And after this slow breakfast that you can have inside or outside in our gazebo. Oh, you didn't see it, but we now have this big gazebo outside, so it's really nice to enjoy the breakfast there. And after that, we love to help our guests to plan their day, maybe exploring a hidden village or visiting Lake Garda or Verona, Brescia or Mantua. We always try to give them our advices, because we want them to experience in a true way the places.
In an authentic way, so the way we would live them every day. That's what we try to do. And maybe sometimes it might seem that because of the staircase and the way the building looks, you might feel that it's the usual like luxury experience, but that's exactly what is different from maybe other places, is that when you're here, regardless of the looks of the place, you still feel comfortable, like as if you were at home, but with some more services.
In another word.
Yes.
You've described it perfectly. And I remember just your genuine hospitality, so friendly, so welcoming, and really everyone felt so at home. And what really impressed me, and I think this is probably what stayed with me for a very long time, is that you just were so passionate. And I know you still are passionate about your local community and your town and everything that's around, that's, gone into creating this special experience. And so maybe you can tell everyone a little bit about Montichiari, your town, because it is, I'd never been anywhere like it, because when you follow a normal tourist path, you're probably not going to find Montichiari on the map. But it's a real shame, because it is just so charming. So tell us all about it.
Oh, well, Montichiari is a town which is absolutely not touristic. So when you walk in the center, you see the people who live here, and the normal way of life, not influenced by the mass tourism that you can find in other places around here. Montichiari means clear hills. And when the light hits at sunset, you immediately understand why. The rooftops glow in warm colors, and the sky seems to open just a little wider.
Yes, and this town actually dates back to the Roman times. So it was a strategic position, basically, because these 6 hills that dominate the plain land were useful to see if there were enemies coming. Then it actually developed more in the Middle Ages, and that's when they built this fortress up on the hills. And that's actually where then later on in the 1890s, Castle Bonoris was rebuilt.
And the view from up there is amazing. I remember across the town and of the dome of the cathedral.
And on Friday we have the market, and it fills the Piazza Santa Maria with live voices and colors. And on Tuesday we have the farmer market, so you can also have a taste of the local products. So all details which make the experience. The ice cream in the main square, so very Italian way of life, I would say.
Yeah, that's a good thing, the fact that it's not really contaminated by what the usual tourist towns try to offer. It just remains authentic to itself. And since you mentioned the cathedral up on the hill and the view, there is also something that most people don't know, and it's the fact that there are 2 times of the year when there is the spring equinox, and also in September on the 21st, where the way the sun goes through the window of this cathedral, it creates a game of lights. So it's a tradition to people to reunite there during this time and just look at the lights and the sun and the way it shines through that window.
Yeah, and that's a very beautiful and romantic church. So you see the white stones and the very old frescoes on the walls, and it's really clean as a style. And so you really feel the place very peaceful. It's something really romantic and beautiful. And from there you overlook all the plain, so you can have an idea of the area also.
It's a very pretty town, and it's got so much in such a small area. I remember there's the theatre, this very special theatre, and there's an art gallery, and you really don't need to go very far from Montichiari. You can have a beautiful stay there, relaxing at the hotel and going to explore. It's a really very charming town. You'd mentioned the local products at the market. So what is your area famous for in terms of local products?
Since we have the local markets, when you go there, what you expect to find is not something that is imported from outside. And you just have the certainty that everything is produced around the area. It's a very rich area. So, for example, it's very famous for its olive oil because we have many olive trees, and it's a very high quality product. And also the cheese. We have some cheeses like Bagos or Formagella di Tremosine that you might have tried too when you were here, probably.
Yes.
And these things, you can find them in the local markets, but also in local shops. And like Kenda was telling me, in the local shops, you can also find typical cakes and sweets and desserts that we make them in this area, like the one you were saying.
Bussola.
Bussola, yeah.
So when you here in Montichiari, for example, there's a pastry shop when you can find bussola or la sbrisolona, which is another sweet which is typical. Or in other shops you can find casoncelli, which is a homemade fresh pasta filled sometimes with meat and herbs, if you talk about casoncelli alla bresciana, but also since we are on the border with the province of Mantua, casoncelli with sweet pumpkin. So it's a different way to enjoy pasta. It's a bit more sweet. We're talking about food, but as you know, here we are surrounded by wine production areas. So it's really easy to find local wines of different kinds. Franciacorta is probably the most known, something like champagne, but for Italian way. So it's a sparkling wine. Beside this, we also have the Garda area where you can find both red, rosé and white wines. So like Lugana or Chiaretto del Garda or Groppello, which are all coming from around the lake, or other smaller areas like in the area of Montenetto or Botticino, where we have good red wines, even strong, I would say. Or if you go towards Verona, everyone knows Valpolicella area. We love to suggest the smaller places because you still find the family producing the wine. So you can talk with the people of the family. Maybe you don't know that specific kind of wine, but you can find the authenticity of the family.
Yes, it's not about the product itself, but it's also all the history and the experience that comes with it.
Yeah, I think it's a very special way to experience Italy, even if you don't drink wine, to meet the winemakers and producers, because they are so attached to the land and the seasons and understanding how they can work together with nature to produce something that's delicious and representative of the region. It's a very special, and I do remember that very well. The casoncelli, the pasta, I learned how to make that, but I didn't make it again because it's quite tricky because it's a stuffed pasta, right? So more like a ravioli, it's stuffed, so the filling is inside. You need a skill to do this pasta making.
Yes. I used to do them with my grandma. When I was a child on Sunday, casoncelli was the special course of the day. And so since very early in the morning, my grandmother was already ready with some ingredients because, well, it requires a little bit of preparation, especially if you want to prepare those with the pumpkin. Those were the one I loved. It's still, when I have them, it reminds me of my grandmother. It's a personal experience, and I like to bring it in the experience of my guests. So I know some places which doesn't look really special, I mean, for the aesthetic aspect, but they are really good in making casoncelli and fresh homemade pasta. So I often suggest it, I want them to try. It doesn't matter the place sometimes.
No, it doesn't. What I remember very well is that there's a lot of pride. I mean, everywhere in Italy, everyone is proud of the produce, but maybe in your area, it's not so famous, but everyone is still so proud of the produce and the wine and the food. It's very different to especially when I lived in the UK. It's in Australia we have more, but in English-speaking countries we just don't have this real sense of pride in our local area and produce, and that's something that I just love when I come to Italy. So tell us as well, apart from Lake Garda, which is very close to you, there's other amazing places that you can visit very close to Palazzo Novello. You have to have a car though, but I just love this area, and I would love people to hear just a few places that you would recommend that they would visit if they come and stay with you.
Yes, you said an important thing. The car is necessary. Montichiari is in the middle of many important places, but you need to have a car. Let's consider 40-45 minutes and you reach a lot of places. Brescia is 20 minutes from here, and it's a town which is not touristic, absolutely not, but it deserves a visit. In the province of Brescia, we are very proud of what we have, but we do not, how can I say, we don't like to show off. Yes.
It's more about being humble.
Yes. We prefer to say we are hard workers instead of saying, "Oh, look how beautiful I am." So this is a special from Brescia, something you don't find in Verona, for example.
Yes.
It makes a difference between the two areas. If you look at the two cities, how they developed, Verona is more known, and they're really showing off what they have.
Yes.
Brescia has a lot of things. I would say it's even not more beautiful, maybe, I don't know, but still really beautiful. But we have always been more bounded to working and being serious in what we do.
Yes.
So it's only in the last years that we are starting to advertise, maybe.
Yeah, because Brescia, which is our provincial capital, was also elected the capital of culture in 2023, along with Bergamo, which is also close to where we live. So maybe we don't realize it, but other people seem to do it. So
I couldn't believe it. I loved Brescia. Every little piece of Italian history you can see, you would just do a walk for maybe 45 minutes around the town and you can see the Venetian palazzo, the medieval, the Baroque, the Roman. You see everything. It's amazing.
Yes, and Brescia, it's in the UNESCO heritage because of this. Because in Brescia, you can see from the Romanic ruins to a more recent history, and you can see it. You can see all the stages. So the Capitolium, for example, is where you see the ruins of a Romanic temple. Is really beautiful. And then you see Museo Santa Giulia, where you have medieval monastery together with Romanic villas. And yes, Museo Santa Giulia is something that I always recommend to visit, because when you enter there, it doesn't matter which is the show which is on in that moment. Just for the place, because it's unbelievable. The monastery itself, the church inside, and the history, because Santa Giulia was a monastery, but for rich girls. So the life inside was something that you don't expect, because inside the girls were really well dressed, like with their own, even the dog, if they wanted to have their dog there, and life wasn't what you expect from a monastery. So, in the family, in that period, in the Italian families, often there was a girl who had to be a nun. So they were forced to go in a monastery, and since they were rich,
this was the result.
Exactly. And if people want to know the details, we also suggest the right guide, because some guides are more prepared on these, side stories, and we love to give this kind of approach.
It's so important, isn't it? It's a lot of hard work to find the right people, actually, and we are finding that all over Italy. We work very hard to find those guides that can tell the special stories on our tours, but they're very special people. So apart from Brescia, is there any other places that you would recommend?
Lake Garda, I wouldn't say that much about Lake Garda because it's well known. Sirmione is really beautiful, just need to avoid the high season there.
It's packed.
Yes. So we prefer to suggest some other places in high season, like Borghetto sul Mincio, which is it has been mentioned between the most beautiful villages in Italy. It's old water mills turning slowly above the river, and they have a special recipe, tortellini, which they call nodo d'amore, because there's a story behind it. It's really nice to relax and to walk in this village. Also, Castellaro Lagusello could be a good option. They have a lake, which is a very small lake, but it's heart-shaped. So this is what makes it special. And it's a tiny medieval village, very peaceful and timeless, we can say.
Yes.
Lonato also, it's a very short drive away. And it has the Rocca, which is a fortress, a very ancient fortress. Now you only see the ruins, but from there you can understand why they chose those places, because it overlooks the lake and you have a very beautiful view. And on one side you have the Casa del Podestà, which is the house of the landowner. And it's more, well, when we say recent in Italy,
we mean like 1400s.
Okay.
Yeah, it dates back to the Republic of Venice, and he was one of the landowner of this area, but he was a very important person in the Republic of Venice. So
both for the Republic, but also for the cultural aspect and the economic aspect. So the house shows all these details, the library and the rooms are really beautiful.
Yes, and you can visit it and you can see how rich in colorful and really, really beautiful to see. We can also mention Count Bonoris, which was closer to us since he lived in Montichiari.
And closer in time also.
Yes, closer in time because it was in the late 1800s that he came to Montichiari, because he was actually original from Mantua, which is also very beautiful city that you can visit when you come here. Yes, he moved to Montichiari and he came from a very rich family. So he united this richness with his willingness to go back in time, because he was very passionate about history and specifically the Middle Ages. So he wanted to reinvent that time period, and we can call this, like historians call it, neo-medievalism, which is this movement that doesn't want to reproduce history but wants to reimagine it. So that's what he did. And when he wanted to do that, he relied to an architect. His name was Antonio Tagliaferri. He also, this architect, created the cathedral that we have here in Montichiari. So he was very important. Their relationship didn't go very well because Bonoris was very particular. So when he wanted a more dramatic style. So when he saw that Antonio Tagliaferri wasn't as crazy as him, he chose another person to help him create his dream. Because if you see the Bonoris castle, you can see that it looks like a medieval legend with its towers and battlements and even a drawbridge. So he really wanted to create this place where he could also host the King of Italy himself. He wanted to meet the standards of a king. So that's the way he lived. He was eccentric, like we said, but he was also a very sensitive person. He liked to help the poor. And
but he wasn't showing off. Well, he was showing off with the castle. But
yes, but he wasn't really bragging about his money, because nobody knew how much money he left, because when he died, he had no heirs. So he left everything to a charitable organization in Brescia, so the city that we were talking about. This was to support children and young people in need. So when he died in 1923, his big regret was not having an heir. So he left the castle to his cousin, and the rest was just left for charity. And they found this safe in his in the castle, and the amount of coins and jewelry equals to 16 million euros in today's value. So that was a lot.
But the strange thing is that he ordered to burn all his letters and all the documents regarding his life and the books he read. He wanted to burn everything of that kind of things.
Yes.
He just left this treasure for the poor people.
He didn't want to leave any trace of his existence besides the
material, the more material
yes.
part, let's say.
So he had a very mysterious life. So since he never got married, we don't know what kind of life he was
having.
Yes, because his personal life is very mysterious.
And consider that here in Montichiari, we say in certain situation, non ho la borsa del Bonoris, which means I don't have the bag of Bonoris, to say I'm not as rich. We would need the bag of Bonoris to do this, but also he did a lot of charity. But this wasn't something he wanted to let people know until he died.
Yes, because he was a banker and he was very good at making money, but he also wanted to have a noble title. So he bought his title and he became a count.
I love characters like this. And it's obviously shaped your town, like the castle, and he did some other investments with it. Was it the theatre that did he give the money for the theatre as well? I can't remember.
Yes, because that's also when the theatre was born. It was in the 1890s. So yes, he was very passionate about culture. So he wanted to put money into that.
So imagine this for our listeners. This is not like your average little town theatre. It's very luxurious, isn't it? It's got like the royal box and it's all velvet inside and fancy. It's really special. I just thought it was magnificent. Now, I could keep talking to you for ages, but I haven't asked you this one yet. Do you have any special things that's not food?
There's a moment during the year, which is Maggio Monteclarense, when Montichiari really comes alive.
And it happens in May because Maggio is the equivalent of May. And during the whole month, there are markets and also historical reenactments. And people like to dress up and dance. And every night and every day, there is something going on in the square or up in the castle. And
in the museums also. Yes. It's a good moment to be here in Montichiari.
Is it celebrating a saint or is it just just a special time of year?
Well, on the 12th, we have
San Pancrazio, which is the
patron
of this town.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also why May was chosen for these organizations. Yes, on the 12th specifically, we celebrate him, and there are also fireworks, and the whole town is united. Leading up to the 12th and also after the 12th, there is really a lot of things that you can do here. And people really put their effort into it because they also handmade their costumes.
And there's a place which is right behind us. It's a very special place where people go to rent the dresses. It's a palazzo, not like Palazzo Novello, but still with the frescoes and historical staircase, also in a different way. And it's like a hidden place to discover. So in case someone wants to have an experience, when you go there, you get lost in the history, in this all these dresses, and it's amazing. I love to go there when May approaches. I have to go to bring the dresses because we usually get dressed also in that moment. And it's a special moment and in a special place that you really don't easily find something like that around.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I just watched this movie, an Italian movie called Diamanti. I don't know if you've heard of it. It reminds me of that. It's a movie set in Rome in a costume department. It's a recent Italian film. It reminds me of that because what they were doing was creating these beautiful costumes. And I can imagine, is it just racks of dresses and you can try them on?
Yes, and you are inside this building, which is really old, really ancient, and it's not renewed. So you really feel how can I say, the history. Even the windows are not new. So the old glass really thin, and you see all these details.
Gorgeous. Oh, well, I would love to come right now, actually. But before we sign off, Rajmonda and Kenda, can you let everyone know how you would like people to remember your region when they leave? So if they could come and visit for a few days, how would you like them to remember your little pocket of Lombardy?
Well, I would love if they could bring back good memories, like authenticity of the experience, because I don't like to have the sensation to be one of the million people who did the same thing that day. Yes, something personal. Like, I would love if they go in the restaurant we suggest and meet the people there, like they talk with the chef. And, the night brings a different taste if you know people who are cooking for you, for example, or this kind of small relations that you create during a travel and which lasts in time.
Amazing.
As I was telling Kenda the other day, something else that I think is that the best way to leave this place is by thinking that you're certainly going to come back someday. So there's not the mindset of, okay, I have already seen the highlights, so there's no need to go there anymore, because you want to come back, and not for sightseeing, but just because you want to relive the life that you had during that week or during the couple of days that you were here. So that's what I think it's the best way to leave this place. And I think that most of our guests think that too. So.
Yeah. And as I was said at the start, that's pretty much exactly how I felt when I left your beautiful region and your hotel. And I'm so thrilled that we're going to be able to bring people to visit you next year on our tour. And thank you so much, grazie mille, for joining me today. And I hope that it's inspired many travellers to come and visit you at Palazzo Novello and Montichiari. Grazie mille.
Grazie a te.
Well, listeners, I hope now you can hear why I left a piece of my heart at Palazzo Novello. It's not only a beautiful property, but more than that, the experience and care Kenda and her team take is very special. It's true that while places can capture your imagination, it's always the people that will cement the experience into deeply held memories and maybe even spark your imagination to fulfill deeply held dreams. Guests joining us on our Northern Italy tour next year will have the opportunity to experience the hotel and delightful Montichiari and the surrounding countryside, and I'm so excited for them to do that. Now, we did take a deep dive into that tour a few episodes ago, but I really wanted you to hear from our friends at Palazzo Novello also. As my friend Julia always says, Italians do it better, and I couldn't agree more when it comes to describing their home and their country. Can we also please take a moment to appreciate our Italian guests who join this podcast to talk so eloquently? This is not an easy thing to do in what is often their second or third language, and I am constantly in awe of our guests like Kenda and Rajmonda who take on the challenge, which I am certainly unable to do in Italian. Brave, ladies. So well done. Now, if you want to learn more about Palazzo Novello and our tour of Northern Italy in September, we put all of the details and information about the tour into the show notes at untolditaly.com/298 for episode number 298. And you'll find lots of other Italy travel resources there on our website too. Grazie mille. Thank you for joining us on this journey and for supporting Untold Italy. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd be so grateful if you could leave a rating or review on your favourite podcast app, or consider upgrading to our premium app for ad-free listening and exclusive travel content, including a travel guide to the Lombardy region, which we featured in this episode. Next week, we're visiting one of my favourite hilltop towns in Umbria, but until then, it's ciao for now.
The Untold Italy podcast is an independent production. Podcast editing, audio production and website development by Mark Hatter, production assistance and content writing by the other Katy Clarke. Yes, there are two of us. For more information about Untold Italy, please visit untolditaly.com.